Hey guys, DPG here with another video that's going to set this town alight. Today I want to talk to you guys about what are your actual chances of becoming a professional actor. I'm not going to go beyond that because if you can get to the professional level, then it's pretty smooth sailing if you just keep going down the same path. But the transition from amateur to professional is a bit of a challenge, or at least it was for me. And of course, I can really smooth that journey out for you. And I just wanted to let you know what the actual chances, statistically speaking, are of your becoming successful. Well, there's two ways to approach this. First of all, what are my chances for success if I do what everybody else is doing? And what are my chances for success if I follow my own unique journey and path and trust myself and my instincts? Okay, so journey number one, I do what everybody else is doing, because why wouldn't you do that, right? If everybody's doing it, it must make sense. It must lead to success. Absolutely wrong. Can you believe it? Most people never become successful at anything. They are able to get to, the survival level, and they spend almost every dollar they get, because whenever they get a raise or a promotion, they just increase their lifestyle expenses to match how much extra income they are making. So they never really get their head more than this above water. They're able to breathe, but that's about it. And so the same thing applies in their acting, which is a much more popular career pursuit than most other careers. And that's why if you copy everyone else, and there are so few jobs out there compared to how many people are trying to get them, that only a very, very fortunate few, I call them the lottery winners, and even they only win once. And really, since they don't know how they became successful because they just copied everyone else, they can't really continue that success, and their career will tend to stagnate. Even extremely talented people, if they aren't following a common sense, self-perpetuated career path, are going to end up on the back burner of the has-beens and shoulda-beens, coulda-beens, woulda, coulda, shoulda. So the chances for success, if you follow the path of everyone else, is almost zero, even if you get that first professional booking, because you just won't know how you got it, especially if it was at the hands of others. Let's say you got an agent early on as a result of your stunning headshots or what have you. And then you even proved yourself good enough to book maybe a two-liner in a TV show or something like that. But since nobody really knows who you are, what you really bring to the table, you don't have any relationships with people, because even when you booked the job, you didn't have the wherewithal to think about, how can I latch myself onto these people? How can I develop a relationship with them so that they will want to bring me back over and over and over? And for that to happen, they actually have to think of you over and over and over, right? So if you sort of followed that path, even if you got a little bit successful, the chances of building upon that success is quite marginal. And I'll say this, you may even book multiple small roles like that, and yet you never really get your career off the ground because you aren't comfortable with really taking bold, decisive, self-oriented actions. Okay, so I'm going to just say your chances for success are almost zero, and that's even including the people that win the sort of virtual actor lottery. Now, what about the chances for success of someone who just acts like someone who doesn't know what's right and wrong, and just says to themselves, well, if I wanted to become really successful, what would I do? And they just do those things rather than thinking what everybody else is doing. And this requires some really independent thought, because it's really hard to look at the other. It's hard to stop yourself from looking at the other person's paper, right? If it's sitting right there in front of you. And even though that person has an answer, you have to resist thinking that it's the right answer. And you have to keep your eyes on your own paper and come up with your own plan. But if you can come up with your own plan and you execute that plan, and whatever happens, you analyze it, you think, okay, that worked well. I'll do more of that. Can I make it even better? Was there any feedback of any kind for what I did, and maybe some clues and hints on how to improve it for next time? Or did what I did it not work? In which case, are there any clues, or was there any feedback as to why maybe it didn't work, other than just somebody yelling and screaming at you, saying, don't ever do this again, because we can't listen to those people. But what is the feedback we infer from the actions we take? What should we do about it? And, can we make those things maybe more successful the next time? And the last part of this little puzzle is, of course, to keep going, to keep repeating, and never look, no matter how badly you do on the test, you don't turn your eyes to the other person, because how would you possibly know if their answer is right or wrong? So if you're just going to choose what they're doing simply because they are doing it, well, then you're going to be lost. Because if they're doing it because they're looking at somebody else's paper, and that other person's paper is there because that person is looking at somebody else's paper, and so on and so on and so on, there's no truth behind any of it, right? It's just based on rumor and innuendo. So the chances for success, if you follow your own path, I'm going to say are nearly 100%. Because why? You are doing what makes sense to you. You're doing it based on who you are, and you're generally going to be putting your best foot forward just naturally, like you do in class. When you know the answer, you go, I know the answer, Mrs. Van Halen. And then they go, oh, okay, since you're so excited, tell me, David. And you give them the answer, and yes, that's right. Instead of somebody else puts their hand up, and then you go, I don't know what to do. If only I were as smart as that person, right? You are smart. You just have to know what you're smart at and use that. So if you follow your own path and you keep going and you keep learning from what you do, both the positives and the negatives, and it's all positive. Positive and negative is just not a great way of looking at the world. It's just feedback. There's really no such thing as positive or negative, because there isn't anything that couldn't have been better, and there's nothing that's so bad it couldn't be fixed. Okay? And that it must be fixed, and it must be redone. Okay? It's sort of like going through school and your career. If you make mistakes, if you're held back, if you don't do well on a test, then take the test again. Study harder and figure out where your weaknesses are. Okay, I got 70% on this test, so that means I got 30% of the questions wrong. So what am I going to study? Not the stuff I already did well on, although I could study that too, but I'm going to try and fill in the blanks, because I really want to just get why don't you get 100% on every test, right? There isn't any reason to not get 100%. So in the same vein, there's no reason why you can't be 100% successful to become a professional actor. And then once you're professional, the sky's the limit, because the exact same things that got you that huge climb over that huge hurdle, which is from the amateur level to the professional level, are going to make it so easy to get to whatever level you can dream about in the professional world. Because once you're in that professional world, you have access to all the resources and the connections and so on and so forth. And it's really because you're sort of in the club now, right? You've been tried and tested, and people know you know how to do what you do. Okay, guys, so that's it. I just wanted to let you know that if you copy everyone else, your chances of success are almost zero. And if you just follow your own path and trust yourself and keep going, and don't ever second guess yourself, no matter how well it seems somebody else is doing, and your temptation to copy them is so high that you just don't do it, and you stick to your own path, referring back to who you are and your own values, there's really no one in your way. No one's ever heard of you, so why would they care to want to stop you? Okay? That's it, guys. Let me know what you thought. You got any questions, suggestions for other videos? Am I on the right track here? Do you like my sunglasses? I will talk to you soon.